morning, and thank you for coming to my little soiree this evening. Now, if this was Downton Abbey and I was Lady Marjorie, I would have sent your invitation out several weeks ago, and hopefully you would have RSVP'd, and on that invitation it would have told you what time to arrive here for cocktails, what time dinner was being served, and most importantly, what kind of attire you should wear, so you know how formal it would be. And I'm Angie from Wish Upon a Style. It's a home styling company that I run with my daughter Sasha, and you're probably wondering what on earth I'm doing dressed up like this. Well, last night I was on a Zoom call with a group of friends. There's 8 of us, and when we get together we're quite mad. In fact, when we were talking last night we decided all to wear hats and pretend we were going off to Ascot or somewhere. And I said to them, you know, that at the moment we're still in kind of lockdown. Restaurants aren't going to be open for a long time yet, and first thing I'm going to do is invite them all to my house for a dinner party, and we're going to do something with a theme, not necessarily Downton Abbey, but we'll definitely do a theme where we can all get dressed up, and just for a while we can forget all these surreal situations that have been going on recently and just have a lovely evening. And I'm doing these videos at the moment because I'm hoping that you might think about doing the same. What you see here today is probably an example of what we would do if we came to your house. We would set it for any kind of occasion you'd have, whether it is a dinner party, an afternoon vintage tea, a garden party, whatever it is, we'd be there. So I'm going to give you an idea of how I've set the table today, and give you a few tips along the way, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So first of all, most important thing is how we set the table. So as it's a formal dinner party, I would always use a crisp, pristine white cloth. That's the first thing. Whatever type of kind of table you have, it's always good for a formal occasion to have a white cloth. And then you can always put runners on the table. Here I've got a grey runner and some mirrors. And what I normally do is keep to a maximum of about 3 colours. And then it doesn't matter how over the top you want to go with all your decorations and accessories. If you try and keep to 3 colours, then it still seems to blend in, and as you can see tonight I've gone for greens, creams and touches of a kind of a burgundy red. So let's move along the table and see what I can tell you. The first thing I would say is that some of my friends do say that they worry about giving dinner parties. They're always quite stressed about it. So my first tip would be always prepare the day before. So you can always set your dinner table and set the room as well, so that you don't have to worry about that. Everything is done in that case. So that's the most important tip I can give you, I think. Next, if we come to the actual place settings, that's another thing that people worry about, especially when it's quite formal. But I think if you do something like this and you start obviously your main dinner plate, and then you've got either a soup plate or a salad plate or whatever you're serving for hors d'oeuvres, then that's the way to do that. With your cutlery, just make sure that you've got the right amount of cutlery for all the courses that you're serving. That's something we always do. When we do come to your house to help you style a party, we sometimes work alongside personal chefs and caterers, so we would always liaise with them first and check what we need to provide in the way of silverware and china. So we've got the right amount of cutlery. I would actually say that if we were in Edwardian times, or early 20s, 30s, you might have up to 22 courses for a dinner party, but we're not doing that this evening because I don't have enough cutlery. So we've got the cutlery. You start from obviously the outside in, so you start from your hors d'oeuvres, your soup, and then you've got your main course, and then you would put your desserts, fork and spoon at the top here. And then when everyone's finished their main course and you've taken everything else away, you can simply pour down the fork and spoon for your desserts. So that's your place settings there. You would always put your bread plate or side plate on the left-hand corner above your forks, and you would always put your glasses on the right-hand side. And again, depending on what you're actually serving to drink, you use obviously the right amount of glasses. So here I've got glasses for champagne, white wine and red wine. Now another thing that you find in Edwardian times, you would never put a bottle of wine on the table, you would always decant it. So I've actually put a red wine decanter and a crystal decanter for white wine there. So I know the most important things, I would say. And now I'd like to come along to talk about the centrepiece. We always work very, very hard on our centrepieces, But the most important thing, or the most important tip I can give you as far as the centrepiece is concerned, is obviously you want something quite impressive in the middle, but the most important rule is you must make sure that it's either below your guest view or above, so that there's no obstruction at all, because otherwise you are going to have your guests kind of trying to move from side to side to see everybody opposite, or they might start trying to move everything around. And of course, as you can see, we've got lots of candlelight here, so you want to avoid any disasters. And then I've kept everything quite low. Obviously, Edwardian times we'll be keeping mainly candlelight, and I actually think candlelight is wonderful. If you have guests coming that are a similar age group to me, especially the ladies, it's lovely to have soft, flattering candlelight, and we will say thank you for doing that. So that's an important tip as well. And then along the centrepiece, either side, I've put some flower arrangements. You may well have heard me say this before if you've listened to any of my previous videos, but I always mix fresh flowers with artificial flowers. And the reason for doing that is that with the artificial flowers or silk flowers, you can choose any variety you want to go with your colour scheme. And of course, fresh flowers, blooms aren't available all year round. And as you can see, I've mixed some greenery and some real flowers. And the other reason for doing that, of course, is that your fresh flowers will actually go a lot further. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to tell you about the place settings, apart from, of course, the napkins, most important. Now, as it's a formal occasion, I would always use linen, silk or cotton napkins, never paper serviettes when you're having a formal dinner. Now, in Edwardian times, the main shape of the serviette when it was folded was called a bishop's mitre. But I wanted to show you, I wanted to demonstrate how you can fold a napkin in a very easy way, so I'm going to do a different style. But as you can see what I've done here, and there's something else I want to point out, this is a really easy napkin to do, and even if you turn it round the other way, you can see that it looks quite nice from the back as well. And another thing that I've put here is, I've put a flower in. Obviously you can leave it plain, or you can add anything you want. I've put a sprig of rosemary because 9 times out of 10 in one of these Downton Abbey dinners, one of the courses would have been lamb. And I think if you add a fresh sprig of rosemary on your table, or any herb, it evokes quite a lovely fragrance and kind of whets your appetite for the meal ahead. So that's another important thing. So, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to demonstrate an easy fold napkin that you can all do at home. So I'm going to try and do them with my gloves on. I may have to remove them. One other thing, when the ladies arrive for dinner, they would have their gloves on, of course, but they always remove their gloves when they sat down for dinner. But I'll try and keep them on if I can. So, here's your napkin. So just a square napkin, and the first thing you're going to do is to fold it into a triangle. So, triangle shape there. And then you bring the bottom right hand corner up to join the point in the middle. And then you're going to do the same with the left hand corner. Again, just bring it up to join the point at the top. Now, the most difficult part about this is actually just turning it over. So hold the top and the bottom, turn it over like that, and then you should have a diamond shape just like that. And then you simply turn the bottom up, and you don't meet the top. What you want to do is have at least 1 inch or 2 inches space there, and the more space you leave, the taller your napkin will be. So you do that, and then you simply turn it over, and then you take the bottom and turn it round, and you take the other end to meet it, and you tuck the ends in, and there you have it. Okay, and then you can put the flower in or anything you like, or just leave it plain, you know, and then the back looks quite nice as well. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay, so I think that's everything to do with the table, apart from the chair backs. Now, this is something we always do if we're coming to your home. We would, if you wanted us to, we would bring chair back covers and also tie backs. Now, as you can see, they're not matching, that's intentional. I've just given you 3 different types that I've just made today. Very easy to make, and I'd be happy to help you if you wanted to know how to do those. So that's the main thing about the table. Now, what else can I tell you? Really, that is it as far as the table is concerned. But of course we don't just style the table, we style the room for you as well. So on the windowsill you can see that I've tried to just put some flowers that would match the table. In Edwardian times we would always have a palm. I didn't quite have a palm, but I've improvised by cutting down some palms from my garden. So that's that. Always champagne, and I've just tried to make an authentic look on the other side of the room, just by putting there, as you can see, an old telephone and of course our gramophone player as well. So that's it actually for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will be doing Friday videos live at 6 p.m. every week, and I'm going to alternate between Instagram and our Facebook page. So I hope you'll join me next time, and I'll have some more tips for you. So there's only one more thing I need to do, I think. I don't know what's happening to... I think we're all ready for a drink as far as... The guests will be here soon, and I really need a glass of something. No, I can't hear Carson. Where is he? Hopefully he'll be along soon, along with the guests. And thank you very much for joining me, and see you next time. Take care.